Welcome back, Summoners. The video you have all been waiting for. This has been my most requested video ever. I am proud to present to you the updated tier list for League of Legends third-party apps. I will not be going ultra in-depth on details for my placement. That is what my video breakdowns and comparisons are for. But I will be giving my opinions and what I think the best and worst apps out there are. You can agree or disagree in the comments below. I need to point out that the app companies do not pay me to rank them, and I don't make any money from these apps. I will also encourage you not to skip to the end of the video so you can understand my reasoning behind these rankings. If you would like to try one of these apps, check the description section to see if I have a download code. It supports the channel by getting rid of the ads on these apps, and that means I have less editing to do covering them up. Let's talk about OPGG's desktop app. It decided not to work for me when I needed it to for this video. I re-downloaded it like 3 or 4 times. I checked their Discord. It's like some sort of lack of access to the API. I don't really know what's going on with it, but I can't really rank it because I don't have access. I didn't get to test it out. I didn't get to play with it for this tier list video. The research wasn't there, and therefore it will not be included in this list. I apologize. The first app that I want to talk about is League Tracker. I love the app. I love that it's a small developer. I think it's a great way to track summoner spells. I think it's better than any of the other Overwolf apps that track summoner spells because it gives a notification when that spell is coming off of cooldown. That is basically all League Tracker has to offer, so I have to put League Tracker in a D tier because it does not compete with the bigger apps. This does not mean that League Tracker is a bad app. I think it does one thing really well, and if this was a spell tracking tier list, it would be S tier. It doesn't try to be a massive app like some of the other ones on this list, so it isn't really a fair comparison, but it still has to go in D tier. My decision is final. ProComps is an app for 5-stacking Clash tournaments. This app is great if you are playing Clash or trying to learn about synergies, but ProComps falls short on the during and post-game breakdowns, which is fine as you don't really need it once your champs are locked in. I am giving ProComps a D tier, but I have no ill will towards the app. I think it is unique in its own way, but it's not necessarily going to be used for the majority of your solo queue games. The next app on my list is UGG. In my last video, I said that UGG was solid, but during my research for this video, I discovered an issue where you have to have your overlays on screen at all times. If you have it on the tab setting, it will not appear. I don't know if this is an issue unique to me, but it is an issue and I have to fault it for that. As far as everything else goes with this app, it's solid, you can't go wrong with it, but you could also go more right. It's a C tier. Let's talk about Blitz. Blitz is the OG in terms of beginner apps. It's got a lot of what you want and then some, and it also has more ads than I've ever seen in a program. Blitz has everything a beginner needs to play League of Legends, and it has more behind that paywall. I am not too hot on Blitz right now, despite it being a decent app, all things considered. I will give Blitz a C tier with an asterisk next to it, because even though it's C, it's not for everyone. I see a lot of complaints about Blitz because of the ads and the lack of free features and that paywall. Leauge is solid. Great pregame, great clips for the postgame, stunning looking postgame breakdown, but its analysis and tips in the postgame leave a lot to be desired. It faults me for not killing minions as a jungle main. I bet it does the same thing for supports, but I wouldn't know because I don't play the role. Things like this are a nuisance, and I really expect an app that is about League of Legends to understand that not all roles farm minions. I'm giving Leauge a B tier because if you use it properly, you can greatly improve by watching your recaps, and you also don't have the whole death by gaming metrics thing. If you are still here and didn't skip to the end to see the final breakdown, do me a favor and drop a like and subscribe to the channel for more third-party app information. Your support means the world to me, and I would love for you to be a part of the full deck gaming community. FaceCheck got dunked on in my last tier list. I have changed my mind. I am making amends to FaceCheck. You are much more than I give you credit for, and I will have to boost you up in this tier list. FaceCheck is a solid B tier. I am looking forward to seeing what it brings to the table in the next year. Keep in mind, its scouting report said everyone but me was a novice, and I was in a bronze lobby, so yeah, everyone's a novice. FaceCheck is an app you can't go wrong with, even if you don't use all of its features. It has what you need and then some, like a feature allowing you to customize your own builds and import them depending on your matchup. For example, I don't always build the same depending on my matchup with Vi. I might go Divine Sunder, I might go Eclipse. FaceCheck allows me to set up my builds with ease. The reason I emphasize this is because I know a lot of you always leave comments telling me what runes are the best to import, what items do I want. is Mobalytics giving me the right thing here? Well, with FaceCheck, you get to decide that for yourself and import it for yourself, and I think that's a tremendous feature that a lot of third-party apps are missing. Zar has a lot of great features and macro coaching inside of it. Those coachings are subject to quality depending on the creator, but no other app has the same type of feature as macro coaching messages. I give Zar an A tier. It is not perfect, but it is unique and beneficial. I would love to see more guides and more coaching. After a while, it becomes a little bit like white noise and hopefully a habit of buying control awards whenever you want to base. I think that Zar's intentions are to make you think for yourself, which is a great way to form habits and help you improve at League of Legends. Speaking of macro coaching, Senpai has been neglected by me for a long time, and it is past due we talk about it. Senpai has a beta version of a voice assistant the same way Zar has in-game macro coaching. I just had a pirate tell me that my jungle camps were spawning. It's amazing, dude. I can't describe it, dude. You gotta try this. It's fantastic. On this note, it is in beta, and all it really did was tell me when my camps were spawning. I think it's a great idea, but it does need a little bit of tweaking. I like the idea of telling you when Dragon or Rift Herald spawns, something of that nature, telling me to buy a control ward when I back. I love those ideas. I think that the principles of Zar and Senpai together would work really well. It does a lot of cool stuff. If you're looking for an alternative to Overwolf apps, you can't go wrong with Senpai. It's absolutely an A tier, and it's not even close. Solid A. Porofessor is one of the most prominently used apps, almost 9 million users, including pro teams and prominent streamers. Porofessor has such incredibly high levels of analysis with death by charts that it's almost data overload. I think that these charts make Porofessor stand apart from all the other apps. If you have this app, you can basically see a graph of anything you want in the postgame. While all of this data is great, you have to know how to apply it and use it. This is where Porofessor falls short in my opinion. It requires the user to actually think. I know, right? God forbid. Which to me is actually a good thing. Constantly questioning things is how you learn. But Porofessor will not exactly provide the answers besides, well, you died more often than your lane counterpart. Which is why Porofessor is only getting an A tier instead of the last app on this list. Mobalytics is the champion. Mobalytics has just made the switch to Overwolf, and I will be covering that in depth next week, so hit the sub button so you do not miss this. Mobalytics has always been a strong app, and it has always had great metrics for how to measure how you're shaping up as a player. Whether Mobalytics GPI is more effective than Porofessor's charts is in the eye of the user. However, Mobalytics stands apart by showing you how to improve by including challenges to make you be conscious of what you need to work on. Mobalytics brings a lot to your game, and with the switch to Overwolf, they just added things like summoner spell tracking and required gold for the next item. Mobalytics is adapting with the times, and it is an excellent choice for third-party apps. If I had a criticism, it would be that the required gold to item is not always the build I'm going for, just like the rune imports are not always the runes that I want to run. It's a minor inconvenience, and it's something I have to note. Despite this criticism, Mobalytics will be getting the S tier, and I have to say, Mobalytics really earned it. I rock your app more than any of the others. I have to give credit to the devs and everything they've done to go above and beyond what is actually required for a third-party app to be effective. If you want to try any of these apps I talked about, use my codes, tell the developer Slimeball sent you, drop a comment on which app you use, and I'll see you on the next one.